friend. Today we are diving into organizing our second grade Abeka Homeschool curriculum. I am going to show you exactly how is it that I am going to organize the entire curriculum for the entire year. For this fourth year of homeschooling, I am still using the binder system. If you have followed me previously, you know that I love using the binder system to organize our entire Abeka curriculum because I just feel that it really is an efficient way to keep everything together, and it takes that overwhelming feeling that you get when you see all these amazing resources, and it just tones it down and makes you feel so much more at ease, and it makes you feel like you are really ready to conquer this year. Now, what I want you to do is go ahead in the description below and download my free binder setup for second grade. It is divided by subject and by all 6 quarters, what lesson you will be beginning in and what lesson will be ending for each one of those subjects. So to organize our second grade Abeka curriculum, we're going to need some sticky notes, a pen, and all of the student consumables. I also like to store these in a bin like this. And if you are interested in seeing how is it that I keep our homeschool area organized and set up, I will go ahead and link that video below in the description as well. I was able to get all of our student consumables unbound for second grade because I did the child kit instead of buying the entire academy kit like I typically do, since this year we are going more on a parent-led model. So the second grade student consumables that we are going to be using to set up our binder are the arithmetic test and speed drills, arithmetic work text, the phonics and language work text, the phonics and language tests, the writing with phonics, spelling and poetry workbook, the second grade writing tablet, the reading comprehension skill sheets, and the history, science, and health activity book. So the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the plastic wrapping from my unbound workbooks. If you just have your bound workbooks, you can go ahead and skip this step. Now, Abeka's second grade curriculum is divided into 6 quarters. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and I'm going to be tagging all of my workbooks. Where is it that the quarters end? So the first quarter goes from lesson 1 through lesson 30. So I'm not going to tag quarter 1 because that's the very first one I'm going to be using. So I'm going to start at tagging quarter 2. So I'm going to put quarter 2, and quarter 2 begins on lesson 31. So I'm going to open up my workbook. Now, if you look at your students' tests and speed drills, on the very top, it lets you know which lessons are going to be covered. So I'm going to go all the way to lesson 31, right here. And I am going to put my sticky note right there so it sticks out here, so I can go ahead and quickly see it. I am going to tag all the workbooks for the entirety of the year. This really doesn't take that long to do, and it makes the whole process of refilling and emptying out the binders very efficient. And if you look on the arithmetic workbook, it has the same setup where it tells you what the lessons are on the very bottom. Something I want to mention about the phonics and language test. This one is a little different because the tests don't always land on the lesson that the quarter ends. So for example, quarter 2 ends on lesson 30. So that means I should technically start on lesson 31. However, the last assessment that is given is on lesson 29. So, and the next one is on lesson 34. So I'm going to put Q2 on lesson 34 because that's going to be the first assessment done on that very first quarter. Quarter 3 begins on lesson 61. So I'm going to come to the closest lesson to the end right here. Okay, so the last assessment they do on quarter 2 is 59, and then lesson 64 in quarter 3 is when they move on to do the next assessment. With phonics workbook comes with a lot of stuff that is, when it comes to organizing, is not completely straightforward just because there's different components to it. So the first portion you're going to notice, and my daughter already started working on this earlier on in this summer. It has the typical warm-ups, the typical trays, and then go ahead and do the numbers, etc. So there's that layout from lesson 1 through 170. This is the seat work. This is what the classwork and the seat work that they work on. However, once you make it through this bulk of the workbook, you make it to the My Journal part. And the My Journal part is for lesson 86 classwork. And you can see that at the bottom over here. You see that? Lesson 86. And the journal continues on lesson 126, lesson 136, and it finishes off on lesson 166. And then there is the creative writing component, which once again is divided up into different lessons. Then we make it to the test portion of the Writing with Phonics. And this one does also tell you what lesson are you completing the test on. On lesson 17, you are going to do this test. So when you're organizing this part, it really is up to you how you want to work on it. I'm personally because this is something that my husband and I work on together, and we just really like to go in that chronological order when it comes to our kids' binder instead of having things in a gazillion different places. I am going to go through and I'm going to put through in between the classwork over here where it is that each one of these activities goes in. That way, when is in the binder, it's easy for the kid just to follow with the flow, since this is the same class here. So I'm going to first begin by putting in the tests. I find that to be easier for me to go through here and add the tests in first. So the first test is on lesson 17. So I'm simply, let me see if I can put you guys up a little bit so you can see right here. Have this really, there we go. All right. So let me see. Classwork lesson 17. This is classwork lesson 17. This is seat work lesson 17. So I'm going to place the test right in front of the seat work. Okay, so I'm putting the classwork for lesson 17 over here, and then seat work lesson 17 in the bottom. Okay, so the test is going to go in front of that lesson. The next test is going to be on lesson 22. So I'm going to go through here. There's 21. I'm going to put it right there after 22. There's 22 seat work there and the test there, just so is there. And I'm going to continue doing this part until I'm done putting in all the tests. I'm going to be doing these with her when is my time for working with her. I feel like this is going to take more than just her going in there and copying something down. This is going to take some instruction, and it doesn't begin till later on in the lessons. I am using the language arts lesson, parent-led lesson plans with her. So when that time comes, I'm just going to go ahead and pull these out. In the meantime, I'll keep these stored in the blue bin with my parent resources. So I know when the time comes, I can just, pull something out and give it to her, is not in random places. When it comes to history and science and health and safety, I am going to label them 1, 2, 3. So this is the way that it was laid out in the activity books, with history coming first, science second, and health, safety, and manners third. Now, when it comes to the readers, these are pretty straightforward. We now have 2 handbooks for reading. So my husband's gonna have one with him, and I am going to keep one as well. So one of these is always going to be with my daughter's things, so my husband can have it, and one of them I'm going to keep here, so whenever I'm doing reading class with her, I can have it as well. Also, we also now have 2 of the Bible primary readers, which we are going to do the same. One to keep here in my area here where I keep all my resources, and one for my husband to have when he is working with her. We are doing the Bible video lessons this year for her, so she's still going to do Bible with the video lessons. Now, when it comes to the readers, you are going to notice that they are labeled by alphabet. So 2A means second grade, A meaning the very first book that they are going to be reading. And it goes to B, to C, to D, to E, F, G, H, I, J. So we already know what the sequences of the books are going to be. When I was working with my daughter last year, we just moved at our own pace. And when we were done with one book, we simply moved on to the next one and worked on those particular skills then. Your child might be able to make it all the way to J, but maybe your child may take a little bit longer and might not make it by the end of the year all the way to J, and that's absolutely fine. So typically for this method, I love using a traditional 1.5 inch binder, preferably the Erie heavy duty one, because they do last a while. This year, however, my daughter really persuaded me to buy her one of these zipper binders. So she came up with all these reasons why this should be the binder that she has this year. So we are going to give this a try. You know, she was like, it has things for my pens, Mom. I can put my books and still have everything in my binder. So we're going to give this a try and see how long it lasts and how does it do. But I did get this one just in case as a backup, in case something happens to this one. So once we have all of our stuff tagged, I'm going to be using these 8 tabs. So I'm going to go ahead and label my tabs. My experience with tabs is that if I do them on the piece of paper, they end up falling out anyway. So I'm simply going to be writing the title of the subjects right on this area right here. Let me get this out. All right. I'm going to be writing them right here so that it sticks. Now, you're going to want to do this in the order that you want to set up the work that your child is going to be working. This is just the order that really works for us. Now, I'm going to be using a hole puncher. This is something I always forget to mention at the beginning of my video, but I've had this hole puncher for the previous 3 years and it has worked great. And then now for our 4th year of homeschooling, and I use this actually a lot. So if you're interested in it, I'll put my Amazon affiliate link on the bottom. That's where I got it from Amazon. So now that these things are all tagged, it's pretty straightforward to go through and just remove it. So since I got the unbound one, I don't have to worry about tearing things out. I like to put the very first part of the book in there, just that way we know which workbook it came from. So my arithmetic on that side, I'll put this on this side right here. And I like to stack my stuff. So my arithmetic workbook, see how I just went to quarter 2, bam, that's it. Stack it this way. I'm able to pretty much do all of them at the same time. Now, the only thing that I pay really close attention is to make sure that I'm hole punching them in the right spot, because sometimes I go too fast and I've ended up hole punching them on this side when I refill them. So now that this is done, I always like to start with the back on the top because I like to fill in the binder from the back to the front. I have to say my daughter was pretty creative when she talked to me about getting this instead of a regular binder. She was like, Mom, it has folders over here and I can't keep anything that I need to keep track of over here. And then, you know, she was talking about things that she could store here. It's actually a really nice binder when you look at it. It's really good. And she was saying, you know, she could keep her books over here. And so it's good. All right, so let's give it a whirl. I'm going to put the history and science first, all the way in the back. That's the one that goes back there. Then I'm going to take my history, health and science divider and stick it in. And the next one this way. See, it goes very fast. So far, this is what the binder layout looks like. We start with math, drills, and tests. Then the arithmetic workbook, the phonics and language workbook, the phonics and language tests, the writing with phonics, and I have the test sprinkled in there that I had gone through and put them in between. The spelling and poetry with the poetry here, the spelling lists with the spelling homework, and the pages that I added in for the homework portion, and then the history, science, and health activity book. We have Our America. That's the first reading portion of the quarter. So that I can just stick it in there. We have her primary Bible reader and her handbook for reading. So it actually works nicely. Oops, I forgot to close it. But I actually like this. I think we're onto something here. I think my daughter was pretty bright thinking about this. I like this. Look how compact this is, guys. This is actually a really good idea. And she was saying, you know, she could put her writing utensils right here and her ruler would fit in here. And she is right. You know, you can just keep a writing utensil here ready to go. This is fabulous. I like this. Why didn't I think about this before? Now, with this, I am going to do a writing folder. I'm doing a writing folder for my son as well. And I'm doing composition with my son during the weekends. That's going to be our composition time. So I'm going to set this up in her folder as well. I'm going to put here writing. So she knows is her writing folder, really, for me to keep track. These things don't begin till like lesson 86. That's not till like the third quarter. So I'm just going to be placing these in here for right now and just keeping them in here for the time being. However, in my mind, what I am thinking really is to start doing daily journaling using that tablet paper that she has. I'll probably hole punch and put it in here and just do a daily journaling activity, whether it has to do with answering a question based on what we read or just giving prompts for creative writing, like, you know, what is your favorite flavor of ice cream and why? Just to get her in the mode of just writing before she actually has to do these activities over here. I think that that is going to work well. So that's what this is gonna be. I like the color. I also love these. I use these folders for whenever I do their homeschool portfolio, and these are so durable. They are so good, and right now they're on sale pretty much in any store you go to. I got these, I think it was $2.38. So they're really nice, come in a variety of color. So if you guys are interested in getting them, go right ahead. I think I got these at Target. I was at Target getting the binders and I ended up seeing these and I was like, ooh, I like these colors. So I ended up getting a pink one for her and an orange one for my son. You can use this system to organize K4 all the way through. Now we're in 7th grade and it works. It really works. I have shared in my main channel how is it that I have organized it for K4, K5, 1st grade, 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade. And if you would like to see how is it that I set that up, I'm going to go ahead and share that playlist from my main channel. But go ahead and share with me in the comments below, what is a system that really works for you and your family? What curriculum are you using to homeschool? What grades are your kiddos homeschooling? Or how many years have you been homeschooling? I always love to hear from you and getting to know you a little bit better. If you found this video helpful, please remember to like, subscribe, and share with others. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.